You're listening to today's inspirational message on the Proverbs with Kurt Bjorklund.
In Proverbs 14, there are many exhortations for our lives. One of them that I see, especially if we're stating them negatively, is don't let anger fester. Proverbs 14:17 says, "A man of quick temper acts foolishly." Proverbs 14:29 says, "Whoever's slow to anger has great understanding, but he who has a hasty temper exalts folly." Anger and rage and a quick temper will ultimately take us places that we don't want to go. In the moment, it doesn't seem that way. When anger swells up inside of us, it feels like it must go somewhere, anywhere. In fact, it is something that when we feel anger swelling up, sometimes we'll even feel like it's a righteous anger, a justified anger. But controlling anger is said to help us basically avoid foolishness and folly. When I was younger, I played a lot of basketball. And controlling my anger on the basketball court was always a challenge for me. I'm competitive. I have a strong desire for justice. And at times, this led me to lose my cool in a game of pickup basketball. And even as I say this, I can see how ridiculous it is. I've damaged relationships. I've hurt my reputation simply because I didn't control my anger. As I've gotten older, it's gotten easier, mostly because I can't compete like I once did. I wish I could say it's gotten easier because I've gotten better control of my anger, but every now and then I still feel it well up within me. Anger is a common emotion that once it's activated can do enormous damage in the lives of people around us. There are many ways to display anger. There's the obvious, yelling and pouting. There's the less obvious, like gossip and slander. But all of these responses create turmoil in our lives and in the lives of people around us. We need to control our anger because anger is often negative. Now, I say often negative because it's not always negative. Anger can work to protect something that's worth protecting, but anger can also work to protect something that doesn't need to be protected. And by protecting them, we may miss the lessons and the opportunity of what those things represent. A quick temper, getting angry without solid reasons for anger, is foolish because it will put distance between us and others. An unfiltered anger will cause a person to be embroiled in unnecessary conflicts. Self-restraint is evidence of understanding of people and situations in oneself. But a quick temper will bring about foolishness. Controlling one's anger leaves room for deliberate action and depending on the Lord in trust and reflecting God's patience in the situation. That's what Bruce Waltke says. James 1:19 gives us a little window on how to control our anger. It says, "Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to anger." It could be observed that choosing to listen first and speak later is part of being slow to anger. Seeking to really hear and understand another person's perspective instead of arguing for your own will be beneficial in conflict and will help to maintain a non-rash responsiveness to insults or slights. But really being slow to anger means that we realize that however angry we are about something, maybe even justifiably so, God has been slow to anger with us and He calls us to practice the same approach with others. Matthew 18:21 through 35. It is only as we recognize how truly slow to anger God has been with us that we will have the capacity to face our own anger and choose to be slow in our anger toward others. The one other thing that we see here is in Proverbs 14:29 and 30, where we see whoever's slow to anger has great understanding. But he who has a hasty temper exalts folly. Then verse 29 or 30 says, "A tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones rot." Is that envy is often part of our drive to anger because we feel like something is not letting us get the due that we think we should have. And the Hebrew for tranquility here is the idea of really having something that's healing. So a tranquil or a healing heart gives life to the flesh. Envy rots us. And what it does is it makes us irritated when we're upstaged and irritated or hurt or blowing up when we feel somehow offended. And so Proverbs 14 tells us not to let anger fester, but instead to run to the grace and mercy of God and address our envy at a core level so that we are free from anger in our own lives.
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.